Welcome back to my channel. My name's Cerise Fairfax. I'm coming at you from the Dominican Republic, the North Coast, from a province by the name of Puerto Plata, and a municipality by the name of Sosua, in a neighborhood called Los Charamicos. Today we're going to talk about the top leading news stories in the Dominican Republic and internationally. We're going to talk about one poet who lives in the United States, but she is actually Dominican and she did something to get in trouble. She may have to serve prison time here in the Dominican Republic. We're also going to talk about the updates of Operation Atlantico. Operation Atlantico has been going on for a few weeks now. Many of you are familiar with it. We're going to talk about what has been happening and what some of the future hopes are. We're going to get into as well updates on the Jet Set nightclub. What is happening with the people that have been charged and what is expected for that outcome. We're also going to do, in lighter news today, talk about the beauty pageant. Who won the beauty pageant and what are the next steps? We're going to talk about these stories and much more. Thank you so much for joining. Let's get into today's stories. Tonight, we're following a developing story out of the Dominican Republic where two lawyers stand accused of orchestrating an elaborate land fraud scheme that allegedly stripped property owners of valuable real estate through sophisticated legal manipulation. The accused are Isa Cecilia Alcantara, a lawyer working alongside her three daughters, and her business partner, Stephanie Malazweski, also an attorney. Both operate from an office in Sosua, a popular tourist destination in the Dominican Republic. According to investigators, here's how the alleged scheme worked. The lawyers would first identify valuable land parcels they wanted to acquire. Then they created shell companies, fake businesses, existing only on paper. This was to conceal their involvement. Then, using their legal expertise, they allegedly manipulated property titles multiple times, gradually transferring ownership to themselves through these various shell companies. This complex web of transfers made it extremely difficult to trace the theft back to its source. This isn't the first time this group has faced such allegations. The same individuals previously operated a financial company in Santo Domingo that reportedly defrauded foreign investors, suggesting a pattern of targeting international victims with sophisticated financial schemes. Despite more than 10 formal complaints backed by evidence, the local prosecutor's office has been moving at what they may consider an unusually slow pace. Sources suggest this delay may be connected to potential corruption, with two former judges possibly involved as accomplices in the scheme. However, recent reports indicate authorities have finally taken action, with both lawyers reportedly detained as the investigation continues. This case highlights broader concerns about corruption within the Dominican Republic's legal system, where those sworn to uphold the law allegedly used their professional expertise to systematically steal property while potentially using their connections to avoid consequences. And this is one of the reasons why the Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader has changed the criminal penal code. Right now, it has been changed to severe measures, and what people would normally get for 30 years, they can now get up to 60 years. And in a case like this, where there has been proof of a serious charge prior, this would get looked at much differently with the new law coming in. Operation Atlantico. It has been happening here in Sosua for a few weeks now. Many people have been affected, laid off, and other people have been praising the efforts of the president, of the authorities for trying to clean up Sosua. Let's get into that story right now. Authorities have launched one of the biggest anti-human trafficking operations in the country's recent history. Operation Atlantico has swept through the tourist town of Sosua in Puerto Plata province, targeting networks involved in human trafficking and sexual exploitation. The massive operation mobilized 35 prosecutors and more than 500 officers in coordinated raids across the resort town. During the sweeps, authorities conducted 29 separate raids, seizing 12 boarding houses containing over 250 rooms. They also inspected 17 bars throughout the area. The operation resulted in the discovery of 174 women, including 6 minors, and 22 men, who authorities believe are victims of trafficking and exploitation. Officers also seized weapons and collected crucial evidence during the raids. Operation Atlantico was spearheaded by the Dominican Republic Specialized Prosecutor's Office against human trafficking and smuggling of migrants, working closely with the Puerto Plata Prosecutor's Office and other national agencies. The initiative specifically targets pimping, commercial sexual exploitation, and migrant trafficking operations that have plagued the popular tourist destination. According to Attorney General Yanni Bernice Reynoso, this operation represents more than just a single enforcement action. It's the first phase of a comprehensive, long-term strategy to combat these crimes. As part of this broader initiative, authorities plan to establish a permanent prosecutor's office in Sosua dedicated exclusively to investigating human trafficking, exploitation, smuggling, and drug distribution. This crackdown comes as Sosua attempts to transform its international reputation. For years, the coastal town has been known more for its connection to sex tourism than for its beaches and attractions. Local officials and community leaders are now working to rebrand Sosua as a family-friendly destination, hoping to attract cruise ships and traditional tourists through enhanced security measures and community-driven development planning. However, the operation has not been without controversy. Some community members have raised concerns about enforcement methods and the treatment of individuals caught in the raids, sparking ongoing discussions about the most effective approaches to addressing these complex issues. Operation Atlantico represents a significant escalation in the Dominican Republic's efforts to combat human trafficking and signals the government's commitment to cleaning up one of the most troubled tourist destinations. Sosua locals and also the residents are trying to change Sosua, and as a matter of fact, this Saturday that just passed, there was the Santo Domingo Philharmonic orchestra concert that came here, and the town was booming. There were people out, there were a lot of attendees after the concert. Many people went to Pedro Clasante to support the businesses by buying food and buying drinks, taking photos and videos, and celebrating the new clean streets of Sosua. I'll make sure that I keep reporting on this story, as I know many of my viewers want to know what is happening with the tourism, whether you agree with it or not. Sosua is changing, and many of you realize that you may have to change along with it. Your beloved Sosua is not leaving, it's just transforming. So you may have to transform with it, and so will some businesses, but when all is said and done, everything will be fine in Sosua. We now turn to an international story involving free speech and national symbols that has sparked controversy across the Caribbean. A Dominican American poet is facing serious criminal charges in the Dominican Republic after performing an adaptation of the country's national anthem at an LGBTQ plus event. Yoseli Castillo Fuertes, a lesbian Dominican woman who immigrated to the United States at age 16, wrote and performed a poem titled Dominican Lesbian that was inspired by her homeland's national anthem. Castillo Fuertes, who works as a bilingual poet, activist, and teacher, performed the piece at a recent LGBTQ plus event. The performance has driven sharp condemnation from Dominican officials. The country's Patriotic Commission rejected Castillo Fuertes' public apology and characterized her adaptation as a vulgar, repulsive, and illegal affront that constitutes a criminal offense under Dominican law. Authorities are pursuing legal action under Article 33 of the Dominican Constitution and Law 21019, which regulate the proper use of national symbols. These laws make any alteration of the national anthem a criminal offense with significant penalties attached. If convicted, Castillo Fuertes could face between 1 and 3 months in prison, along with substantial fines ranging from 5 to 20 times the public sector minimum wage. Specific statutes cite penalties of up to 90 days in detention and additional financial penalties for acts deemed disrespectful to the flag, coat of arms, or national anthem. In response to the controversy, Castillo Fuertes has issued a public apology, clarifying that her intention was to make Dominican diversity more visible rather than to disrespect national symbols. However, Dominican officials appear unmoved by her explanation, with some calling for an exemplary sentence and pledging to monitor the case closely. This case raises broader questions about the intersection of free speech, artist expression, and respect for national symbols, particularly when addressing LGBTQ plus rights and representation. It also highlights the complex relationship between Dominican immigrants and their homeland, especially when cultural and political values diverge. This developing story continues to draw international attention as it moves through the Dominican legal system. The Dominican Republic is the only flag in the whole entire world that has a Bible on the middle of the flag. Now, this is very important to note because the country is ruled on Christian values, and those Christian values are recognized more so with Catholicism, and many people do not recognize any other rights. So although abortion is also illegal, there are other things that they are trying to work on right now. But when you are trying to alter certain national symbols for your understanding, you need to be very careful in this country because Dominicans are very national and they want to make sure that their traditions and their culture stays intact. Now for lighter news, in the Dominican Republic, there was a beauty pageant. Jennifer Ventura crowned Miss Universe Dominican Republic 2025. Jennifer Ventura, representing the province of Barahona, was crowned Miss Universe Dominican Republic 2025 during a gala ceremony in Santo Domingo. Ventura emerged victorious from a field of 29 candidates. The victory holds special significance for Barahona province, marking the first time in 40 years that the southern region has claimed the national crown, making Ventura's win a historic moment for her home province. Ventura will now carry the Dominican Republic's hopes to the international stage when she competes at Miss Universe 21st, 2025. The global competition is scheduled for November 21st at the Impact Challenger Hall in Phuket, Thailand. The Dominican Republic has a strong legacy in the Miss Universe competition with 13 total placements, including Amelia Vega's victory in 2003. Most recently, Celine Santos Frias represented the country in 2024, placing in the top 30. With months of preparation ahead, Ventura will be working to bring home the Dominican Republic's second Miss Universe crown in over 2 decades. In recent local news here in Sosua, there has been a new announcement with a fine arts school. The Minister of Culture has announced plans to establish a new educational institution in one of the country's most prominent tourist destinations. Minister Roberto Angel Salcedo revealed that his ministry, working through the General Directorate of Fine Arts, will move forward with plans to establish a school of fine arts in the municipality of Sosua, Puerto Plata province. This announcement aligns with Minister Salcedo's broader cultural initiative across the Dominican Republic. The minister has made it clear that the expanding arts education is a cornerstone of the current administration's cultural policy, stating that filling the country with art schools is a fundamental objective for the government of President Luis Abinader. The planned Sosua facility would join other recent fine arts school developments, including the newly opened institution in Las Terrenas, Samana, which focuses on providing music and dance education for children and youth in that region. For Sosua, this cultural investment represents a significant step in the municipality's ongoing transformation efforts. The tourist town has been working to diversify its image and strengthen its appeal as a family-friendly destination, making arts education a natural complement to these broader community development goals. The Fine Arts School Initiative is part of Minister Salcedo's nationwide tour of provinces, where he has been collaborating with local governors, mayors, and cultural directors to expand artistic educational opportunities throughout the Dominican Republic. The jet set devastation. Many of you may remember this from back in April. Well, today we have an update. In a devastating event from earlier this year, the roof of the Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo collapsed during a lively merengue concert on April 8, 2025, killing 236 people and injuring more than 180, with over 500 attendees inside at the time. The disaster unfolded at approximately 12:44 a.m. during a performance by the renowned singer Ruby Perez. Among the victims were prominent figures including merengue icon Ruby Perez, former MLB players Octavio Dotel and Tony Enrique Blanco, and Nelcy Cruz, governor of Monte Cristi province. Investigations revealed that the roof bore multiple heavy air conditioning units and water tanks and had a long history of water leaks and temporary plasterboard repairs. Yet, no structural inspections had ever been performed by engineers or architects. In the aftermath, a special commission of local and international experts was established to determine what happened, why it happened, and how it happened. Legal developments have intensified since then. In mid-April, the first civil lawsuit was filed by the family of a victim targeting Antonio Espiat, owner, his mother, Ana Grecia Lopez, the Dominican government, and the Santo Domingo mayor's office, seeking damages and a criminal conviction for involuntary manslaughter. By May 19, the number of civil suits against the club's owners had risen to 42. The Attorney General took strong preventative action, freezing the transfer of property and company assets linked to Antonio Espaillat, and on May 7th officially seized the Jet Set venue. On June 12th, Antonio and Maribel Espaillat were arrested and accused of immense irresponsibility and negligence in failing to prevent the collapse, though they had not yet been formally charged at that moment. Now, here's a refined breakdown. On April 8th, the Jet Set nightclub's roof collapsed, again, killing 236 people and injuring over 180 during the merengue concert. The roof collapsed under structural stress, loaded with AC units and suffering long-standing water damage, with no proper structural inspections ever performed. Owners Antonio and Maribel Espaillat were detained in June. They're facing accusations of negligence. The government froze their assets and seized the nightclub. Now, the legal proceedings have right now at least 42 civil lawsuits that have been filed. Criminal investigations are underway, with the Espaillats still under judicial restrictions and not yet formally charged. Criminal charges may include involuntary manslaughter, potentially leading to years in prison. Investigators are still determining final blame as the commission continues its work. That's the news for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, my name is Cerise Fairfax. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Let me know that you enjoyed your time here and that you enjoyed hearing the news. Remember, I do have other YouTube channels. I have a crime channel called Fairfax Files, and I have another channel about entertainment news called Sister Cerise. I would love for you to join me on those platforms. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, please be good to yourself out there. Huge blessings to you. And remember, tomorrow is not promised, so make the best of today. Bye. I'll see you next video.